What's happening, world? It's Kyra. I always get so tripped up when I do the intro, but it's okay because this week, Ben and I, we're going to be doing RRR. Ben?
Yeah, it's an Indian movie. It's the first time I've heard of it. Kyra actually told me about it, and I enjoyed it a lot.
This movie does come from India. More specifically, it is in the language of Telugu. If I mispronounce that, I'm very sorry. I do not mean to, which is one of the Indian dialects. It is crushing expectations. I mean, I think it made 100 million and then like 300 million when it went worldwide. It was number one since it reached Netflix. It was number one in 64 countries. This movie has been seeing wildly high success, and it actually just got nominated for Best Original Song, Naatu Naatu. So very exciting.
Yes. So it's set during the British occupation of India and set for like the liberation of India.
Yeah, so what was really interesting about it, because I try to go into movies pretty blind, so I do my research after I watch the film, is that our two characters, Bhima and Ram, are actually based on two real liberators of India during that time. So these are fictional tellings of what the writer thought would happen if these two great heroes actually met and had a friendship. So their storylines are the same, where we have Bhima, who comes from like a people who live in the forest. He represents water in the film. And then we have Ram, who comes from right outside, and his storyline is that he rises through the ranks to steal arms to arm his people, which both things did happen in a different way, of course, because this is a fictional telling. Our writer-director has said that this film was actually inspired by Inglourious Basterds in a way that you can take something real that happened and fictionalize it in a way that you want to see. So I thought that was really interesting going in, because I think it adds so many fun and interesting layers to the movie. Obviously, I am not of Indian descent, neither is Ben. So I don't know all the intricacies of like their life, and I felt like I learned so much, like through the choreography, through the song, and just through the great storytelling.
Yeah, I agree. So the movie starts out with, it seems like a very nice movie. Like this girl doing like a peacock on this woman's hand, and it seems like really nice. She's singing, it's beautiful, and it doesn't seem like it's going to go the way it goes.
Right, exactly. And what I love about this movie is it shows how evil the British colony is and how evil the colonizer mindset is, because we have this very affluent white woman in this very indigenous setting, getting her hand painted, seeming to appreciate what is around her, and then she flips and she's like, you know what, I actually want to buy this child, and they throw just like £2.
Yeah.
And the people don't understand. Her mother doesn't understand. Molly's mother doesn't understand, and actually accepts the money, thinking it was a thank you for the painting and the song. And then once her child gets taken, that she then realizes what is happening. Something that is mimicked throughout the movie through Scott, our General Scott, is the idea of how much a bullet costs and when a British soldier should use it. It's brought up three or four times, and we find out later is one of Ram's main focuses.
Yeah.
I thought it was super interesting. I thought it was heartbreaking.
Yeah, because it's the less value that they feel the Indian people had compared to the shipping, the manufacturing of a bullet. And it just showed like how they felt. And when the mother goes after the child, they're going to shoot her. And that's one of the scenes where the guy goes, no, the bullet's more expensive than this woman's life. And then the guy picks up a tree branch and like smashes her skull. And I was like, oh my God.
I know. So honestly, when we saw her at the end, I was shocked. Yeah. Shocked only because like so happy that she lived, but she got wrecked.
Yeah.
In the beginning. I legitimately thought that she had died. And then from that scene, you meet, I don't even know if she has a name, Scott's wife. I don't think she is ever named. Maybe it's Catherine. I don't know. But she, to me, is one of the most evil people in the movie.
Yeah. And that whole scene, like, it reminded me, I'm not a religious person. Please do not think I'm religious. But it reminded me of the whole Judas with the 30 pieces of gold, right. You know, being able to, like, bought Jesus, basically.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what I felt like with this. Like, they bought this child, and they made the sacrifice. You know, that's what she felt like. She was like, here's this money, and I'm taking a child. And it doesn't matter what you think because, well, you're nothing.
Exactly, because I'm white and you're not,
yeah.
and I'm here invading your land. Like, it was so interesting to see, and I loved when she died at the end.
Yeah.
Not, as you know, we give spoilers, and it's glorious when she does.
Yeah.
So then we meet Ram, who is a soldier trying to rise through the ranks of the British Army, even though he is an Indian person.
Yeah.
And this, you see that he gets sidelined.
Yeah.
He doesn't make the cut the first time, but he also demonstrates incredible will to keep going, and perseverance, I think, is a good word.
Yeah.
I mean, he is part of an army that captures a leader, and people are obviously protesting and revolting. And he kills and fights off maybe 300 dudes to capture one man.
That threw something.
Yeah. And like knocked down the photo of like General Scott or whatever. Mayor, I don't know, Scott, whatever, the evil man. And okay, so the action sequences to me were so fun.
Yeah, they're very all right. So you got to go into this understanding. It's more like the action sequences are very theatrical. They're very like Matrixy. What am I looking for here? Mortal Kombat-ish kind of fight scenes.
Yeah, but I think that is part of that traditional style of movie making. So I thought to bring that into a mainstream movie is so fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And
I liked it.
No, I know, but I think like it added to it because like you have these very real themes of like friendship and perseverance and rebellion and fighting for what's right, juxtapositioned against these fantastical fight scenes.
Yes.
And I think it changes the tone of the movie and makes it very fun.
Yes, it's very well choreographed. The
Oh
fight scenes, the dance scenes, all the scenes were very well choreographed.
So the dance scenes are beautiful. So just like any traditional Tollywood or Bollywood film, you will have these big, elaborate, like almost Bhangra style dances. And it is so joyful and it is so fun and it is so ingrained in the culture that it's such a celebration whenever you see it. And I loved the final song that they did where they celebrated all the leaders throughout
Gandhi and all them.
throughout the different providences. I thought that was incredible. And I thought it was such a great way to highlight that, like, people deserve freedom and people fighting for your freedom is worth it. And that is the overarching message of the movie outside of friendship, I believe. But it's really fun and it's really exciting. So we have Ram, soldier, fighting through the ranks. Everyone calls him a traitor. You don't really know his full story yet. Yeah. Of course, if you knew the history of these characters, you would know their full story. I went in, and I'm assuming you went in not knowing.
No, I thought he was a jerk.
He comes off he's very mission based. He's very militant and only thinking one way.
Yeah.
Which is such an interest.
The British way.
The British way, exactly. Which is so interesting in contrast to Beam, who is very focused on saving Molly.
Right.
So his intro scene, though, Beam's intro scene was amazing. He's fighting a tiger.
Well, first it's a wolf.
And then it's a tiger.
Yeah. I thought that felt like progression.
Yeah, like growing, like showing. What I loved about the character of Bhima is he was very focused in the earth and giving, and we're one with the earth. The earth is with us. We're with we're with the wild. This is us. If you give, it will persevere. And I thought his song that he sang after he was captured was so moving.
When he's captured or when he's being tortured?
When he's being tortured. I guess, he's getting flogged. But
yeah. Flogging.
The flogging. That scene was brutal. Okay, we're skipping ahead because so this movie, if you look it up, you'll see this movie is 3 hours long.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is an investment of time, but it does not feel like that.
No, it flows very well.
It flows so well, and the story is broken up. So you see, this movie is a hero's journey. So we see just two separate heroes and how they come together. So it's similar to what I would believe is like the Odyssey, right?
Yes.
Because similar to Homer, you're off, not exploring, saving, having a purpose. I thought it was really interesting. So back to Rum. He is now going to hunt for Beam. He is after Beam so he can be to the special rank of like special officer.
Special officer in charge, I think it was.
Yeah. It's basically like, I don't know, just like he gets a new jacket when he reaches it. So he's trying to befriend Beam, and he doesn't know he is hunting for Beam, doesn't know who he is, and then he befriends this random man who is pretending to be a Muslim. And when they save the boy.
Yeah.
So what is so great about these heroes is that they are both so strong on their own, but when they come together, they balance out each other so well, which is what I think is the whole idea with like the fire and the water. Like, yes, water puts out fire and fire evaporates water, but together they're both the elements that make up part of the world. So when they are saving this boy, naturally there's fire and water, and I love it.
Yeah. And both cleanse in an odd way.
They do.
Yeah, like fire burns everything down, but it's like a cleansing because everything grows back. And same thing with water. Water will purify and cleanse. So both of them have that quality about them where they want to, purify and cleanse India.
Yeah, of the British colony.
Yes.
Because the British is a cancerous, imperialistic ideology. I don't know. I have a lot to say about like colonization. Obviously, it happened, but I think it's fun to see these stories that sort of go against it. And like, what if this didn't happen? Like, what if we were freed in the 1920s before they were actually independent? So what I love too when I was watching the film is right when Ram and Beam start fighting together, they have to save this boy off a bridge. Ram's on the bridge, Beam is on the ground. They have to save this boy from the water. So Ram actually grabs a flag, and the flag that he uses to protect has a phrase written on it, Vande Mataram. If my pronunciation is wrong, I do apologize. And that is from a poem that was actually the first two choruses were used as India's independence song. So when they're flying that at the end in that final song, it's like their independence.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that they used that right in the beginning, even though we have someone who we see as a traitor grabbing this flag, using it. I thought it was a nice symbol.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah. And understand that his character will do anything to achieve his goal. So he will hurt the Indian people, but he doesn't do it because he wants to hurt the Indian people. He does it because he has to do it to play the role to the perfection of this, to fool the British soldiers into believing that he is one of them and that he'll do anything to make their mission complete. But actually, he has that inner mission where he's trying to overcome the British government. It's really complex.
It is, but I think it's done so well, and similar to Beam, when Beam listens to Sita's story and hears that Ram is not a bad guy and Ram is not a traitor and Ram is doing these, and Ram's history, Ram had to kill his own father.
Yeah.
He watched his mother and brother die, and he had to kill his own father to escape the British people and capture. And this is what started his mission. I think the movie does such a great job of having you side with Beam.
Yeah.
And be like, you see Ram doing good and helping him as a friend when they're like in their friendship era. And then you're like, wow, he's actually flogging him. Wow, he actually captured him. He's not helping him save Molly. Like all these things. And then you realize why. And I love that scene when you have, it's so their friendship is so complex and beautiful. And there's a song that's mimicked throughout where it says the fate of their friendship, like no one knew what would unfold through their fated friendship. And I loved that because it came in these moments of high tension where these characters had to make these choices. Like Beam could have let Ram die of snake venom, but he didn't. And then from that, Ram captured him. And then Ram could have beat him harder when he was flogging him, but he didn't. And then he decided to forego his mission and save him. And then you see Beam turning that around and saving him from solitary, and then them fighting together. And guys, it is a beautiful moving film.
Yes. Yeah. And you see like Ram tries to help him by like, he pulls the cord with his leg to try and make him kneel. Because the whole thing is this guy, the leader of the British colony, wants him to kneel. He's like, I want you to kneel and I want you to suffer and I want you to beg my mercy. But he won't do it. And like he sings a song of defiance, basically. And what he calls trying to help him. Ram, he's like trying to make him kneel, but he utterly refuses. And you can see the crowd start to get like behind him. They're like, oh my God, like, his perseverance is like moving us. And you can see Ram kind of the same way.
Exactly. And I love that scene because they are both so strong in each of their convictions, Ram and Beam. And you have Ram being like, let me make this, not saying let me make this easy for you because he doesn't want to give away his position to the British colonies, but he's essentially in his own way being like, let me make this easy for you. And Beam is like, let me show you how much stronger I am than oppression. And I can use my song and the earth, and that will touch people, and that will help people rise up. And then we see them rise up, and we see that have a lasting effect on Ram. So far that he forgoes his mission and tries to save Beam, which he does. Beam and Molly escape, and it looks like Beam kills Ram. He does not. He stabs next to him. But also, Ram got beat to shit so many times. Like, he got stabbed in the back by a tree. Yep. He got, like, clawed in the chest. He got shot at. Like, real superheroes. Real life superheroes. Like, and I think that is part of, like, the message of the story is, like, revolutionaries and people who are willing to fight for, like, their people and their country. Those are the real superheroes that we're seeing. And those are the people we should be lifting up. And I love this story because it blends fantastical violence and these crazy fight scenes with that message. So I was blown away by it. And every time they used fire and water, like in that final scene, incredible. So there's a final battle in the woods and things are blowing up. And then you see Beam coming out, like slow motion coming out of the water. Arrows are flying through fire. This movie is so beautiful.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a must see. Like I know a lot of people are going to go, well, it's an Indian movie. There's a lot of prejudice. It's just how it is. People are like, oh, I'd rather watch an American movie. And that's just wrong because this is actually one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in a long time as far as like spirituality and like choreograph and just the motivation that moves you. It makes you like realize this, perseverance and endurance that the Indian people went through during that rough time period in history. I mean, it reminds you of a lot of, what happened with American slaves. And the same thing with them is, music. They used music to like code things. Like, they wade in the water was like a song about going into the water and waiting for these people to come get you, to rescue you. And there's a lot of music used throughout this movie that indicates, that rise up, be better, don't let these people hurt you, like be strong. And I think music reflects a lot of that in history.
Exactly. And so this movie has done crazy numbers. It has been critically and widely acclaimed, and people were thinking it was a shoo-in for Oscars. Like I had said earlier, it had actually only won or only been nominated for Best Original Song, which is interesting. So during my research, as we do research, I found that for a Best International Film to get into the Oscars, it is not submitted by the director nor the production house. It is submitted by the country. That's why you always see the country's name after the title. So for the Oscars, every country decides one movie that they feel represents their full country, and then they submit that to the Oscars. Now, RRR was not submitted for India, which was, people thought, not horrifying, but people were shocked by it because it is such a powerful movie, and I think it has a lot. You can relate all the themes to things that are happening today and things that have happened. So it was lucky enough to break through on its own merit into Best Original Song, Naatu Naatu, which I think should win. It is in the middle of all this fighting and chaos and craziness. Beam gets invited by Jenny, who is his love interest, who is a white British lady. I would call her like a lady in waiting. I don't know. She's around all the other rich people. And she invites him to this party. Now, of course, they're the only two people of Indian descent that are there that are not either servants, hosting the coast, like passing out like food caterers, musicians. They're the only people that are there in suits to party. So we see a white British man who's interested in Jenny get threatened that Beam is dancing with Jenny. So he knocks him down, tries to embarrass him, and he's like, "You don't know what dancing is. How could you? You're not elegant. You're not this. You're not that." And Ram sees his friend Beam, and he's like, "I'm going to help him out." And then with the help of another drummer in the band, they create this beat for Naatu Naatu, and they create this beautiful, fantastical dance, which is what you associate when you think of like a Tollywood or a Bollywood film.
Right. And it's not just a dance, it's a dance battle.
It's a dance battle. It is a dance battle. And then what I think is so interesting about this dance battle is obviously first they're battling the colonies, right? They're battling the white people. And then towards the end, it seems like they're battling each other.
Oh, they are, because there can only be one winner.
Exactly.
So what Ram sees the girl watching his friend, and he realizes that he's winning. And if he wins, it's not good for this guy. So he fakes a cramp and falls to the ground.
Which I think is super telling of like their friendship because they have to recognize that they have to make some sacrifices to then help each other. And then you see Ram carrying Beam after the dance contest because he's like, even though he was the one that went down with a cramp, Beam is so tired from dancing that Ram is carrying him. And then later in the film, when Beam saves Ram from solitary, his ankles and knees are weak and they're not working. And Beam actually carries Ram.
Right. So it's,
it's
contrast.
It's the contrast, and it's really beautiful. And I love when they are Beam Ram together, escaping prison, like this, just like powerhouse. And it is so fun.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's really good, and it's exciting. It's fun, and so heartbreaking that it's not going to win anything because I think it would have been good for directing, cinematography, editing, choreography.
The dance scenes are freaking phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
I'm like, oh my god. Like, I was sitting there going, yeah, I'm moving with the music. I was like, this is awesome. I mean, if you get a chance to watch this, I mean, the dance scenes alone and the fight scenes, you're going to be like, all right, this is awesome. I mean, the special effects, the explosions. I mean, it's really good.
It's a really good movie. And it's just beautiful. One of the things that's very funny is at the beginning, it says no animals were harmed in the making of this. They were all CGI'd. And when I saw that at the beginning, I was like, oh, I know that tiger scene. I've seen that advertised. And then I didn't realize how big of a part animals were going to play in it. When Beam decides to do the raid to save Molly, the way that they Trojan horse their way in is very clever, very smart. They show time and time again that they are smarter, more clever, and more well equipped than the British colonies are equipped with money and guns. So they break in through this car, and the way that this happens to me is so cool. So Beam is hiding and you can't see, and one of his friends, I forget which one, is driving, and they crash through into the party, and as the car swings, all these animal cages open up and you see Beam with fire, which I thought was very interesting, with fire, wielding fire, and all these animals are just leaping out, and he's using the fire to antagonize them into fighting the British people. And it is chaos, but it is beautifully shot. I love that Beam uses fire in this scene because he has just saved his friend Ram from a poisonous snake attack, so he doesn't know that Ram is a policeman. So you see him kind of feeling empowered by this fire, and we know that fire is associated with Ram, into fighting. And while this scene is happening, it's juxtapositioned with Ram struggling. This person that he's supposed to capture just saved him. And now he is like, what do I do? What is my mission now? My life has just been saved by my friend, but my goal is I have to capture him to meet it. And then you see him obviously take the path of his goal. And what gutted me the most, and I loved how they symbolized it, was so Beam puts on his healing necklace to Ram. And Ram essentially, when they're fighting, takes that necklace and uses it as a chain, and to hold Beam hostage. And then when this is happening, it's close up of Ram's face, and you see, because they've been fighting, blood comes from the side of his head into his eye, and then falls out of his eye like a teardrop, and it is beautiful. I mean, this movie is incredible, and I cannot say enough good things about it.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, like I said, I went into it, I didn't know anything about it. This is the Kyra Ben show, so Kyra and Ben, Kyra will tell me the new stuff to watch, and I tell her the old stuff to watch, and it works.
And you guys have fun because you're obviously still listening.
And that's like this relationship with these two people. They're both on different paths, but it works.
And then when they come together, they become unstoppable. Yeah. And I love that Ram has transformed from what he believes is who he should be, and like his hair grows out. And then he tells Beam, he's like, you have dressed me and empowered me with these arrows in this outfit to be who I need to become to help my people. And then it's assumed that he wears this throughout the rest. You only see it at the end where he does wear it to deliver his people.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because Ram's friend says that when he's explained what's going on, he goes, I've been narrow-minded. He goes, I've been only wanting to like liberate this girl. He goes, but Ram's been trying to liberate all of us. And he's like, he's made sacrifices for all of us. And he's like, I need to do this. He's like, I need to be this like Ram. And then they unite to like free everybody.
And back to Naatu Naatu, when he's doing the pounding to find him, and it's the beat of that song. Yep. It is so good. The attention to detail in this movie is insane. It is so well done.
Yeah.
And just fun.
Yeah. Again, I highly recommend this movie. I mean, if you haven't seen it and you go by it on Netflix and you just flick by, then that is something on you, because if you stopped and watched it, you'd be amazed.
You would be amazed. It is an amazing film because it encapsulates so much, which I think this is a Tollywood movie, but this is my first Hollywood movie I've seen. I have seen more Bollywood films, but it's what that like encapsulates. Like, okay, so when I was younger, I was like, I had to be in high school, and I saw the Bollywood version of Aladdin, which was amazing. It was like one of my favorite movies at the time when I was growing up, and it was so fantastical. It incorporated all those same crazy dance scenes and all this incredible like rich not mythology, but like history.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, and I felt the same way I felt when I watched that. I felt that way again when I watched this movie, because it is so, I think, important.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely important, especially the Indian culture. I mean, like, they were tortured. Like, this really happened. Like, this is stuff that the British colonists, the Spanish colonists, the French colonists, they weren't nice to the people they took over. They like treated them like dirt. They abused them. They killed them. They persecuted them. It's like any conqueror. Any conqueror, if you ever watch history, does this. They treat the people that they've conquered as less than human, and that they can do anything with. And and the main story is always going to get you, because it's the little underdog, the people rising up against the power to be. And that's what this is. These people, they're not supposed to make it. They're not supposed to like be able to overthrow the greatest empire in the world, the British Empire, and they do. Because there's a part when the things are on fire, and it says the sun will never set on the British Empire. And I thought that was classic.
I thought that was classic, and then his blood like splatters all over it. I was like, beautiful. The sun is setting on the British Empire, and it's so powerful and it's so important. And I think this movie has made stories like this so much more accessible, especially through, like, obviously streaming has made things more accessible. The internet has made things more accessible. And even though this world is so big, we all feel so connected. Right. And I think that's important. And I think this movie is important because it is showing in a fun way. Like, yeah, we saw it in, just like the director of this film had said, it was inspired by Inglourious Basterds. We saw that with Inglourious Basterds, that kind of like cathartic, fantastical silliness of like, wow, what if this did happen? That would have been amazing. Obviously, it's fiction, but at the same time, it's based, this movie, RRR more so, is based in true stories. Right. I loved that. When I was reading about that after I had watched the film, it had made me appreciate the film so much more. Right. And I don't know, I can't say enough good things about it. It's a great movie. It is now one of my favorite movies of 2022. It is.
Yeah, it's that good.
It's that good. It is that good.
It's that good.
This is what I don't understand. When there are movies like this that are made, that are beautiful and fantastic, and then there are movies, okay, so here's the thing. I hate James Cameron, so I'm not going to say a good thing about him. But like the new Avatar movie, like that movie, Avatar Way of the Water, got nominated for Best Picture. I don't believe it is Best Picture worthy. Granted, I have not seen it, but I don't believe anytime you're telling a story that is synonymous with an indigenous story and you're not of indigenous like background, right, it's bullshit.
Right. And not to mention, like, if this is Best Picture, this is a fictional telling of a civilization that's being threatened by a government.
Right.
A fictional one.
A fictional one.
This is a real situation that really happened with real heroes. I mean, granted, they weren't together at that time,
but
this
real.
Is fictional, but this really happened. So why can't this be nominated for Best Picture?
And here's the thing. Yeah, people are going to talk about like the effects of Avatar and whatever. The effects in this movie, we've said it. Yeah. They're great.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah.
The CGI, they had to put a warning that it's not real animals. Like,
right,
get off it. Like, this movie's amazing.
Yeah. And I don't care what choreography of dance you have in any movie. This blows it away.
Blows it away.
Blows it away. So I don't care what you got out there dancing and going, oh, this is great. This blows it away. And if you watch this, you'll be like, yeah, he's right. This blows it away.
And it's so beautiful because you can feel that it's made with so much love and care, and it's so embedded into the culture that it is true. And that, like, yes, it's fiction, but it's also true. And that is what I think is the best part of it. So I hate James Cameron and the Avatar movies, but I love this movie. And this movie is better than that movie. That's what I'm saying.
I haven't seen The Way of Water yet, so I don't know. I mean, I don't believe it would overpower this movie for me because this movie was that good.
This movie is that good. Like, I mean, I don't know. So I also haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, and that got nominated for Best Picture.
I saw it.
Is it Best Picture worthy?
No, it's basically Top Gun, but just like retold.
So here's the thing. I don't want to see that, and I want to see films like this. I want to see the voices of people that we have not heard from speaking and celebrated. And I think this is what this movie did so well that, I mean, last year, not last year, but a few years ago when Bong Joon-ho won for Parasite, he had said in his speech, the Oscars is not an international festival. It is very much for American film. So it's crazy to me. I mean, it goes with the American ignorance that we're the best, but it's not the most prestigious award anymore, I don't think, if it can't recognize and celebrate real films.
No. And like you mentioned Top Gun, the new Maverick, and at the ending, it's Star Wars. Like, he's supposed to blow up something, and he shuts off his tracker, and he does it by feel and heart. And it's just, I didn't like it. I just thought it followed the first Top Gun to a T, and then it went to kind of Star Wars-ish. And I was like, what am I watching?
What am I watching?
I mean, I get it. It's Tom Cruise, and he's like one of the hottest stars of this generation.
He should have been, here's the thing. This is my thought on Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise should never have been an actor. He should have been a stuntman or a stunt double because he loves that crazy adrenaline stuff.
Yeah, but I know everybody's going to go, what do you mean you didn't like Top Gun Maverick? It wasn't good. It wasn't.
Okay, so I haven't seen it. My mom says it's one of her favorite movies.
Because she liked Top Gun.
She likes Top Gun.
If you like Top Gun, you like this movie because it's exactly the same.
That makes sense. Honestly, that tracks. That really tracks. But back to RRR. Please watch it. Please support this film. It is on Netflix, and I mean, it's made hundreds of millions of dollars, so but it still needs all the support. I shouldn't be saying that. It needs all the support and all the love because it is that good.
I agree.
I can't wait to go home and watch it again. Yep. And it's 3 hours long.
Yeah. Yep, but it doesn't seem it.
It does not seem it. And the way that it is broken up through time makes it so I love like the intro. So RRR, and I feel like I will not be able to pronounce this. And so if I mess it up, I am so sorry, is Raudam, Ranam, and Rudaram. I'm so sorry, you guys. I know that is not right, which is Telugu for fierce, death, blood. Or as when the movie translates it, it says rise, roar, revolt. So those are what the 3 R's are. But then in the beginning, we see R for the story, the kidnapping of Molly, the introduction of Ram, fire, and then the introduction of Beam, water. And so I thought it was really cool that they layered all these different sort of meanings within this one title. Again, I do apologize for all my pronunciation. I do not mean to offend if I do it poorly. I do apologize.
Yeah. As again, we do not know the dialect. We are not Indian. We're American, but we did appreciate the movie.
I did appreciate the movie. I loved it. I am so glad that we landed on this one for this week. And I think it's a good way to kick off Oscars because we are in Oscar season now. We will be covering Best Picture once it gets selected. And maybe we'll cover some other movies throughout just in different categories. Like this one was Best Song. We could do Best Animated, International, Documentary, anything. Let us know what you think. Always DM us. We're always open and available. We talk to each other all the time, so we want to hear from you. What do you guys want us to cover?
Yeah, 100%. I got nothing else to add. I thought we did really well on what we talked about. I think that if you had a chance, you got to see this movie.
You guys see this movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. And watch RRR. Support the film. It's on Netflix. And if you don't have Netflix, maybe rent it because it's worth it. But that's all, folks. We'll catch you next time on What's Happening.